Good evening and welcome to the Public Service Committee meeting of today's Tuesday, April the 8th, 2025. Time is 5:40. First item on our agenda this evening is the approval of minutes from our March the 11th meeting. Everybody get those and any changes or comments on those?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the minutes from our March 11th meeting.
I'll second those.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, our minutes for the March 11th meeting have been approved. Next item on the agenda is public participation. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to water. And first item under water are the water project updates. Mr. Davis, you taking those? Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity. Just going to go kind of hit the highlights of what we're working on right now, and then you feel free to ask any questions. We have the projects that are coming up. We have a lead services requirement from EPA to identify where we could have found lead, and that does require a physical verification. If we think there's, if we know there's lead, we don't have to verify. We just say there is. If we think there might not be lead, we have to verify that. So that project is going to be coming up here, likely bidding in a bid opening in roughly May, to go out and actually dig a hole and look at the main to see if it's a material that would be lead containing or not, and then make a report for EPA. That's a requirement that they've imposed upon all cities. So that's coming. We have two projects that are in design now. One of them, actually, yeah, three actually. One is there's a upgrade of the water line in High Street from Boyer north up to about Valley View, and then in Good going to its terminus on the west side. So that system being upgraded. That design will take most of this calendar year, and construction will be next calendar year. So that design has begun. We'll be sending some surveyors out there here very shortly. There's also, if you know about the bulk water fill station, there's a requirement for the EPA to be able to have water trucks be filled from a bulk water station. That's going to be located at the wastewater treatment plant. That design has we have a schematic design started for that now, and a consultant on board, and we're working with them to finalize that design and work out some details. So that's moving along quite well. So that's.
I have a question on that. Do you have any, is it run into any obstacles or anything with the land use on that?
That site has wetlands on it, but we already have a delineation report for that. Okay. So we're going to have.
How about the property? Is it on the cities or the airports? It's both cities, but is it on the airport? I was by there the other day and I saw the surveying lines, and it looked like it could possibly be, and I wanted to make sure we headed this off before we got down the line, too far down the line.
My understanding is on city property. We can
but it's
but it's outside of the confines of either the airport master planning document or the current usage of the airport. Okay. So it's kind of in an area that I would refer to as a lay down area for some parks materials that we currently use. So okay. We move them out of the way, but it's right outside. Well, you saw it, Mr. Fair. Yeah. It's right outside the fence line of the treatment plant. And it is off of Airport Drive, not Weber, but it's off of Airport Drive to the south.
I just wanted to make sure we were clear before we spend money, move forward.
Yeah. Good question.
Yeah. Okay, the third project that's in the design process is we have, I mentioned last time the attempt to increase the capacity of the water treatment plant, and that what's called a general plan has been submitted to EPA for their review. So that's moving along as well, and we're waiting for EPA comments on that. The actual official term is general plan. It's a very exciting term, but that's something that starts the design process with them. So
with the EPA on that, as we send them something, come back and forth, is there some time, of course, when they do something, there's a time restraint when we have to answer. When we're initiating a project like that, what's the typical turnaround time when we send them something and they have to approve it, or back and forth? 30, 60 days, or?
It does vary. Roughly 2 months is a typical time from what I've understood. That can vary. It depends on the complexity of the issue and all that. So we are expecting a response back in the next month or so.
Okay.
The last project I want to mention for water is this looping project that's going through the airport, and that has been pushed back a little bit, so that is planned to go to bid in the summer. So that you'll be hearing more about that later as it moves forward. That's just essentially with all the workload, it's just a project that's not quite first on the list. It's kind of a perennial second as we're trying to get those things through. So there's a few steps to finish the design on that, and then we'll get that through. So that's the summary on our water projects in the process.
I have one question on that. The cross connection of the high side and the low side, was that dependent upon the looping project being completed? Or does that have to do with the PRV valve that we're putting on Bird Street? Because you didn't mention that project. Is that project still moving forward, the PRV?
So go ahead. There's been some discussions about prioritization of projects, and I actually failed to mention one extra project. It's kind of a small thing, but it's exactly what you're asking. So the PRV project is unnecessary if we have a new water tower on the low side.
Okay.
Because the PRV, the purpose of it is to bleed water from the high side to the low side if you're lacking water. So in some discussions internally, we've actually decided that we should prioritize the tower. And so we've put a pause on the PRV, which is kind of a waste of money to build. And we've actually have a consultant on board as we speak to look at locating that tower and finalizing the location for it. What we have on record is a discussion of several different places it could go. One was the Brickyard site, and one was the existing tower site. And so that firm will make a final recommendation, so then we can budget for that tower potentially as soon as next year.
To add on to Mr. Davis's answer and be a little bit more responsive to Mr. Copley's question, the first part of your question, does the looping project impact the connection between low and high side and the efficiencies we're trying to gain there? I would answer no, it does not. The looping project actually adds a little bit of water quality issues as well as distribution issues on the low side, quite honestly, and it helps us there. As Mr. Davis said, I think, just to piggyback on that, we had an internal discussion with department heads, obviously Mr. Davis and others, and decided that prioritization of the water tower, which is in the council's CIP plan, but moving that up and foregoing the use of the PRV project might be a better use of our funds and achieve what we're trying to accomplish in a quicker deadline. So you will see that bump, and that's one of the areas when we present the CIP to you, the revised CIP, that we've moved that up in terms of timing and aspects of the capital improvement program. So that is something I want to make sure I mentioned.
Okay.
I very much agree with that idea. I think the water tower is absolutely necessary.
All right. Any other questions on water? All right. And I know you had included the lead and copper, the rules here, and some of the revisions and stuff here. Do you want to speak to that, Mr. Costa?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would also like to speak on item B about, just to give an update on the water improvement project. We've already presented to the Public Service Committee, who has recommended to Council, and it's gone through 2 readings, the authorization for the water meter improvement project. Basically, the automated meter reading system that we use, manufactured by Itron, is beyond its service life. Itron as a company is focusing really most of their resources toward the electric market, and of course we use Itron stuff in our electric department. So one of the issues that we've had is that one piece of the system, known as the endpoint, is basically the device that takes the read from the register in the meter and through radio frequency sends that read to our software in our system for processing and billing. Those units are failing, and they're not, we can't get replacements for the units, and we can't, it's basically the batteries are dying. We can't really service them ourselves. So it says water meter improvement project, but really what we're talking about is a project to replace the end points connected to the meters. The majority of this work will take place outside and will not, not need to schedule an appointment or go inside folks' homes. We held a pre-bid meeting a couple of weeks ago. We received bids last Friday. We received 4 bids, all from reasonably reputable companies. We're going through the bids now. There were a lot of pieces, parts to that. You could propose pricing on if we were to use you for some meter replacements that might come up. If we were to ask you to provide a work order management system, and separately we're looking at work order management systems on our own, and then the piece about the installations and the software to configure things and tie it in with our billing system. So I am going through those proposals in detail this week. Our utility billing manager, Susan, on vacation this week, will be back next week, and then we will review those items and ideally make a recommendation of 1 or 2 firms that we'd like to bring back for an in-person presentation and give my boss and others in the city a chance to listen to them. But again, these are all pretty major players. I think it's, I would request that we do suspend and call, or don't suspend and call, we vote on it on the 15th, because that'll work well with timing. So ideally, we would have somebody beginning the installations sometime around the end of May or the beginning of June. What we specified in the RFP document is that our expectation would be the successful vendor would complete about 3,000 installations during a 3-month period during a quarter of the calendar year. So I just wanted to give you guys an update on that. Just since we've accepted the bids. Moving on to the...
Well, and these are, again, just in case somebody's watching or whatever and wasn't familiar with them, these are all on the outside. So these replacements, the wiring that goes inside does not have to be replaced.
That's
correct. This is just all on the outside, correct?
Yeah, and it wouldn't require somebody to, stay home from work or, anything like that.
And on some of the, you mentioned, some of the units are bad, the batteries weren't able to be replaced. What are we doing with those particular readings now? Are we just estimating for a couple of months here until they're installed, or do we have to go in to do an actual reading?
No, we're estimating, and we've got, a pretty lengthy history of, not just monthly readings, but seasonal readings and all of that. And, the folks, when they come in, they'll be directed to start and, complete all of the, do the replacements first where the batteries are failing or getting weak.
Okay, all right. Okay. Any other questions on that then? Okay, now we'll move on to the lead and copper.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Copley, citizen had asked Mr. Copley about a notice that they received late last year, and it pertains to the lead and copper rule. I've included in the agenda a summary of the rule prepared by Dana Moore at the water plant, as well as provided some additional handouts that Dana thought would provide a pretty significant amount of information. But in very simple terms, the U.S. EPA has come out with revisions to the lead and copper rule. Basically, the first piece of it is tasking us with developing an inventory of all of our service lines, with the understanding that at some point the lead service lines, galvanized lines, and lines where we're not quite sure what the material might be made of, ultimately will need to be replaced. While the project really got going in 2024, final replacement of all of the items that are identified is probably, 10 or 12 years out.
37.
Yeah, through December of 37 is when it's got to be done. From a milestone standpoint, really last year we were required just to put up whatever inventory we had and make that, a link that others could get to, which we did. The next milestone is in November of 2027, where two things happen. Basically, one, we have to make sure we've completed the inventory of all of the lines, and we have to submit our plan of attack. How are we going to address these lines? So this will play out, over 10 years or so, but ultimately, we're taking steps now to identify all of the lines. We've complied with what was required of us in terms of the initial inventory piece, and it'll just be an ongoing project.
Is this going to be part of the CIP?
It is.
Okay.
Several of the line replacements are already included in that process.
Okay.
We needed a little bit more clarity once we get this inventory process done over the course of the next year or so. That'll help us in terms of determining what exactly needs replaced versus what we believe needs replaced.
Well, and again, knowing this, as we're starting to replace some of the mains, anything that's tied into that, those very easy inspection right there, since you're already tying in, so knowing that we have to do this, it's look left and look right, I guess, while we're got the hole dug there to do some of those, at least out at the street.
That's right, and many of the entities that come in and assist cities with that in Northeast Ohio already know about the requirements, so they're doing that as part of their processes when they're inspecting and or removing lines or service lines or identifying lead-based or galvanized-based lines. So.
Okay, all right. Any other questions on that? All right. We'll move on under wastewater project updates. Mr. Davis?
So, right now, under this first item, the only thing I have to mention is we have a wastewater master plan that we've actually brought here last time for the ordinance. That we've received bids or proposals for those, and we'll be selecting a consultant here, I believe, this week, and then getting that kicked off for a comprehensive master plan. For the emphasis being the treatment plant itself, but to do the treatment plant, you really have to look at the whole system, and so we'll see how much we can get for what we have for the budgeted when it comes to details for the system-wide issues. But that's getting kicked off here just this month. So moving down the list here, moving to this sanitary sewer overflow program, we do have a project that's just completed. I may have mentioned last time, so that is there was a weir issue in SSO 4 and 5 they're called. So those are completed. We have a large project coming, which is this analysis of SSO, several of the areas, and we are going back and forth with the consultant to finalize that contract. The contract is almost ready to approve, but there's been some minor details that we're trying to work out for that. So that should be signed here in the next week or so, and then that design will then begin. That will involve a long, lengthy analysis, and the end result of that at the end of 2025 will be to have a set of construction plans to address fixes to some of our SSO problems. That's the culmination after all the analysis and some of the design work done. So that's just now getting kicked off for the SSO program. So that's a good summary of that.
We talked prior about when the permit was granted that we'd share it with us. Has that issue been are we complete with the permit, or are we still working through that actual permit for the SSO?
We did get approval for that.
Okay.
So we can.
I appreciate that.
What we got was an approval letter.
Okay.
It has not been incorporated into the permit yet.
Okay.
So once, what I thought I'd bring to you is rather than a letter that says, hey, it's
I
going to
appreciate
be
that.
put in the permit, I'd bring you it when the permit was
I
adopted.
think in your update, it talked about
I
a 15-year.
did, yep.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what,
That's what I thought.
and I just wanted to remind us that we talked about that earlier.
We will certainly bring it to you and share it.
Thank
We
you.
won't wait for this meeting to share it. We'll share it with all of the
Okay.
council once that is incorporated in the permit. But I have no reason to believe, Mr. Davis, with your expertise, I don't think they're gonna pull a fast one and not put it into our permit. It might take some time to get into our
Okay.
permit.
Yeah, it'll be a condition of the program. So Okay, and then last thing, just to finish up wastewater, we do have we have a assessment completed for our existing digester lid. They are, the consultant is recommending that there's some need to be replaced fairly quickly. And so that, next step for that is to then hire a consultant, maybe the same consultant, maybe a different consultant, through a competitive qualifications-based process to then design a lid. There's primarily two primary options for the lid. One of them is kind of a soft domed lid that's just different style. The other one is a more of a fixed. So that analysis will be reviewed by this new consultant, finalized design, and then the costs for that are estimated to be upwards of $2 million or more. So that's an item that will likely be part of next year's capital improvement budget. So, and that's what you see today now is for authorization to then select a consultant that we'll be sending out the request for proposals probably this week.
Okay, and then with this number of readings recommendation, because of the nature of this safety here, to suspend and call, or what for the lid?
I don't know if there's any reason to do that.
I don't think so. At the very least, it could go at least two readings.
Okay, so we'll at least move it to 2 and then see where we're at in the
Yeah.
in that part of the
I think
process.
that'd be fair.
That's fair.
Questions, recommendations from the committee on that?
I'll make a motion to, we have an ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service to negotiate and enter into an agreement of professional engineering services for the design of the WWTP digester lid replacement project and declaring an emergency.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. All right, we'll do that with at least 2 readings on that recommendation. All right, very good. Next item up, of course, just prior to this meeting, we had the Stormwater Commission meeting and talked about bylaws and things.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We held the quarterly Stormwater Commission meeting tonight. Really only one item on the agenda, and that was reviewing proposed revisions to the existing bylaws. Over the last few months, commission members had sent me some suggestions for revising the bylaws. We went through those in detail tonight. I have a couple more just very minor readability changes to add, but the commission adopted the new bylaws at tonight's meeting. And that was basically the meeting. Our next meeting will be before the Public Service Committee meeting in July, which I believe will be July 8th.
All right.
I will add just briefly that one subject on the agenda was the annual report for what's called MS4. We have in order to comply with state requirements, our city has to submit, I forget what all the 4 S's are: municipal stormwater system. Dang it, I can't remember. I always forget the S's. It's 4 S's.
I can't help you on that one.
I know. I don't usually know it. So that's due April 1st. That's been submitted, and so it was timely. We believe we will be in full compliance, but just so you know that and that report was given to the Stormwater Commission. So just to let you know.
All right, thank you. Next up, under electric, is an update on the charging station. I know we were close and we were waiting on one thing for the high, for the fast charge there.
Yep, so we had been waiting for an opinion from the Ohio Department of Taxation. They opined that we do not or are not required to collect sales tax on any sales from the station. We've completed the commissioning work. We have a total of 3 charging ports at the station, 2 standard or level 2 charging ports, which would normally charge a vehicle in, say, 4 to 6 hours, and then 1 level 3, or sometimes called a DC fast charging port on the other side of the station, and that can typically charge a battery to about 80% capacity in a half an hour. We have finished everything that we needed to do. the company, Flow, the manufacturer, has basically handled all of the commissioning stuff that needed to be done for the 2 standard ports. So when we're ready to flip the switch, we should be able to go like that. The fast charging port, though, they've had some trouble communicating with that particular port. We've gone through all of the electrical connections and infrastructure on our side. Everything's checked out. They are going to be sending a technician down to fix whatever the problem might be. It doesn't sound like it's a huge problem, but if you remember, the station was completed about a year ago, so there may be something that needs to be turned on or adjusted, but I would expect that to be a relatively short and quick fix, and once that's done, then we turn the station on and promote it through social media and let folks know that it's ready to go.
By short, you mean matter of days?
Yeah,
I mean, realistic could
Yes.
be even this week if they
Could
come
be.
down and it's just not recognizing a communication port or something like that.
And they're a Canadian company, but I don't know that they need to send somebody from Canada because the contractor, I think, was an Akron-based contractor. So I'm just waiting to hear back when they've got somebody coming, but I'm expecting the call, today, tomorrow.
This short, quick fix is no cost to the city.
That's correct. And I expect, that's my word, short, quick fix, but it's more just a communication, like almost like a Wi-Fi connection type issue than it is, like there's a problem with the equipment, so, yeah.
All right. Any other questions on that? All right. Then we will move on to, there's legislation request here for the Akron Road voltage regulator, an upgrade up to 333 volt.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the purchase of 6 of these voltage regulators. So there's 2 banks of regulators at the Akron Road substation, one on the west side, one on the east side. We've already finished the upgrade on the ones on the west side, so these would be upgrading the regulators on the east side. And that's the area that, or the units that, serves our Norton and Sharon circuits and basically supply power to the east side of our city. So this is just a recommendation to make the purchase for these higher capacity units. This is a budgeted project, a part of the electric department's capital plan, and this is also an item that can go 3 readings.
All right. If no questions, a recommendation here from the motion from the committee.
I'll make that motion to present an ordinance finding finding the existence of emergency in the Department of Public Service, authorizing the interim director of public service to enter into the contracts to purchase 6 333 kVR voltage regulators with base stands for the Akron Road voltage regulator upgrade project without formal bidding and advertising, declaring emergency, and 3 readings.
All right.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, that will move on to our next meeting. Next item on there under CityLink would be the fiber update project.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The fiber project continues. Recently, work was completed, splicing work along Lyman, Akron, Hall, College, Pardee, and Boyer. Construction recently completed on Ridge to Wolf Creek, Fixler, Highview, West, Baldwin, Lyman, Broad, Auble, Good, West, Knollwood, and Orchard. Over the next half a month or so, we'll see splicing work from Ridge to Wolf Creek, and the contractor will be testing multiple locations in the Orchard, Beechwood, and Browse area. So testing is once they've got everything hooked up, they make sure that it's really passing light and it's ready to go. Construction over the next couple of weeks, aerial construction in the Ridge to Wolf Creek area, underground Bluestone and Edenmore. About 2,200 homes are ready for installation. We've got about 600 homes installed now. Roughly half of those They also have the streaming product. We've got another 600 drops completed, so if you think about the city being surrounded by a large ring of fiber, off of that ring you've got fiber that goes down the streets, and then what's called drop cables is basically the connection from either the pole in the street or the pedestal to the house. So a lot of that work was able to be continued over the winter, so it's ready to go. We've got about 400 homes in the queue for installations. We've got all our CSRs, our customer service representatives in utility billing, and in CityLink making calls for those installations. A little bit of that is, sometimes we have to contact people 3 or 4 times before they get back to us. So we're really making a concerted effort to really just make a lot more calls, so whatever percentage we get is enough to keep our installers busy. So if you may remember, over the last month or so, we'd finally gotten up into the 45, 50 range, somewhere in there, and that we anticipate that that's going to be continuing. We've had actually 102 installations over the last couple weeks. The next install areas, First Street to Durling and Weatherstone, Wolf, Simcox, Tolbert, Bixler, Franks, Euclid, Westgood, and Knollwood.
And I know we had discussed it, but probably brought it up originally about the evening installations. Those will be available if somebody cannot make it during the day. We will make those arrangements, correct?
That's right. Yeah, I mean, that would be, we would have, that would be on a case by case. We don't want to, but yeah, we will do that.
That is an
if that's the
option.
only time they can do it, we'll accommodate that.
Right. Sounds good. Oh, and the areas, was it Blooming Acres, Tiburon Trace, that area where there were a lot of underground utilities, you were putting in the wireless while they ran the cables underground. Those systems working okay for everyone up there? Or?
Yeah, as far as I know, it has. I've not had any complaints, and normally I would get those from our guys. I will also say, though, our CityLink crews are, trying a couple different things, and they think that there's a possibility that in some underground areas they won't have to do the wrecking out and the switching to wireless. So wrecking out is an industry term that basically means going in, taking cable from an underground conduit, pulling it out, and then putting in the new fiber. And during that process is when we move people over to the wireless solution, so they, maintain service. There's it looks like a couple favorable things that we've been trying out that might allow us not to have to put that middle part in there in the wireless, which would allow those installations to occur quicker. So, I've asked them to continue testing that to make sure before we, cut folks off, but it's promising.
All right, very good. Any other questions on fiber? All right, then just under other, of course, you always put the attachments here for the electric department and subscriber updates, but is there anything you'd like to highlight on either one of those? Or?
Nope. I think, some of our numbers over the winter skew as you get people that, snowbirds, that go south and they start coming back. So typically if they suspend service for a little bit, numbers drop, and then, when they come back, those the numbers go back up. Although, it may not feel like spring, it's here, and we're seeing those numbers return. But other than that, nothing remarkable to note.
And I know you guys had posted it online or whatever, but maybe just publicly mention, because it's graduation time, party time. The one power outage that we had here a couple weeks ago were due to Mylar balloons. Now, squirrels, critters we cannot control. However, the Mylar balloons did cause that outage. And again, just summertime, graduation parties, a lot of birthday parties, things like that. Just to kind of remind everybody, I know you put it out there, but just to let everybody know that that is what caused that problem.
Yep.
And it is something to be cognizant of for anybody that, a lot of times you're still accidentally let go, but sometimes they're done on purpose, for a little celebration, but that's not the thing to do with those, so.
Yeah.
All right. Any further comments from the committee on anything? All right, our next meeting date is May the 13th, Tuesday, May the 13th at 5:30 p.m. If nothing else, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right.